spring break, my family spent 2 weeks in Europe. At both the beginning and departure, we went through Calgary and then London. At the beginning, we only stayed in London one night, but then came back at the end of our trip. After a 1-hour flight and then over 10-hour flight, as well as a 9-hour time change, we all kind of just wanted to go to sleep. But it was only 2 p.m. when we arrived. So after Ubering to our hotel, we went on a long walk around the streets of London, ate dinner at a street restaurant by the river, saw the Big Ben, and saw the Westminster Abbey. We walked through shopping streets and made our way back to the hotel as it rained. The next morning, my family went to the English buffet for breakfast, and we made sandwiches and grabbed other things from the buffet to make lunch for on the go. Just like that, it was time to walk to the train station and leave for Paris. The ride was about 2.5 hours and honestly a really fun way of traveling. After the train, we went on the metro and then to the hotel. And now the time change from home was 10 hours. My brother and dad went to a Paris soccer game, and my mom and I went shopping and to the Eiffel Tower. We didn't buy anything at the mall, but we did eat dinner at one of the restaurants. After, we walked along the river and went to the Eiffel Tower and got chocolate crepes. During our first real day in Paris, we grabbed a quick breakfast from a local cafe and some fruit from a small market. That morning we went on a bike tour, which was very simple and fun, and we saw many cool places and learned about some history of France. After the tour, we went for some pizza at a restaurant for lunch and then walked around the city even more. My family went in some stores in the Champs-Élysées, and I got some Ariana makeup because I had to get Ariana Grande makeup from France. After all the stores, we were going back on the metro because we were tired, but it got closed because of the strikes. So we got some crepes from a cafe for some more energy, and later, after being at the hotel for about an hour, we went out for dinner. The next morning, we did a little bit more sightseeing. We're going to the Dome Church. The Dome Church was really big, and it had a lot of really fancy things inside. We walked around and looked at all the different things, and we had lunch at the little cafe that was next to it, that was kind of like part of it, and walked around even more. Art. And we went inside the Shakespeare bookshop, and I got a Shakespeare and Company tote bag. My family walked around even more, got some macaroons, and went in a thrift store where I got a few things, and my brother got some stuff too. We also went in other stores. Later that evening, we got dinner and walked around to see the Eiffel Tower again. The next morning was our last day in Paris, so we ate breakfast at just like the restaurant that was part of the hotel we were staying at, and we left our bags at the hotel while we went to the Louvre Museum, saw paintings and things like the Mona Lisa, looked at some sphinxes, and looked at the remake of Napoleon's house thingy, which of course was very extravagant and dolled up. This is like Savoy in Paris where she works. For lunch, we went to this super nice Italian restaurant and got pizza and ice cream for dessert. We went up to this really cool church, and we saw another thrift store but didn't have much time to look around. Afterwards, we picked up our bags from the hotel and took the metro to the airport. Our flight was delayed, but after we arrived in Malaga, Spain, we Ubered to where we stayed. Our first day in Spain, we were tired from the night before, so we didn't have any arranged plans, but we ate breakfast in a place across the street from where we were staying. We did a little grocery trip and just sort of like explored around and got some ice cream. While walking on the boardwalk, we saw these people dancing. We also went to the beach. We also went into a gift shop and got a hat because I forgot mine.
I'm at a bullfighting arena today, and I'm gonna go inside.
Of course, there wasn't actually like bullfighting in here, but there was like this hallway that was filled with a whole bunch of pictures of Picasso and all the like famous people he had met. The apartment had a kitchen, so we had spaghetti for dinner.
Today we're taking a day trip to Seville.
For our second day in Spain, we decided to have a day trip to Seville, so we bused there. It was about 2 hours, and once we got there, we saw a lot of really cool sights.
We're gonna go in the fancy palace thingy.
We went into this fancy palace thing, and this lady was dancing, which was super cool to watch. After we went on this bus and explored some more places, we also got ice cream. We went to this castle and we actually got Starbucks for lunch and up to this other like view thing.
So many stairs. Oh wait, that's right. There's more.
Then we took the bus home, and about 2 blocks away from where we were staying, there was a whole bunch of cheering because there's this soccer game that was happening the next day, which we did go to, which you'll see. But anyways, our day finished with just eating some food and then going to bed. The next day, we started our morning by going off to this really cool market. Midday, we went swimming, and there were these planes that looked really cool that were flying. Also, we got ice cream. That night, we went to see a soccer game. Ignore Ben being annoying. It was Spain's national team and Norway's national team.
I'm at the soccer game. Daddy getting the work.
Spain won 3-0. I only got one of the goals on camera though, but it was very exciting and everyone was cheering really loudly.
This afternoon we're going to a castle and then we're going to the beach. Out for the day.
We're gonna have so many shots of us eating ice cream.
So yeah, the morning of this day we stayed home and I did some gymnastics in the apartment, but then like I said, we visited this really cool castle and later went to the beach. During our 5th day in Spain, we went on this bus to see some caves. I kind of forget what they're called, but they're like the second biggest in the world and they were really cool. After the caves, we went to this really delicious Italian restaurant and I got pizza.
Leaving Malaga, going to London.
The next day, we traveled from Spain back to London. After the plane ride, we took a bus and then another bus, mind the gap, to where we're staying. And later we went to a Japanese restaurant for dinner and we walked in Notting Hill Park.
Currently at Notting Hill Gate. First morning in London. And we're going out to breakfast and then to London Tower and then to London Eye.
First, we went out for breakfast, then we took the metro to the London Tower. We had a tour, and the guide was super cool. We also looked at the King and Queen's jewels, and we also looked at some of the torture devices that they used, and we also got lunch there. We walked across the London Bridge, and then later saw the Shakespeare Globe Theatre. I got a book, then we went on the London Eye. The London Eye was super cool, and then after that we walked through the park. I forget what the famous park thingy is called, but anyways, we walked through the park and we saw some guards actually move. They're moving for once. So we walked back and then we went to a English pub for dinner.
Let's go. My hair looks crazy today. Also, my throat.
We went out for dinner and then we went to Urban Outfitters. I got some things. Then we went to Chinatown and then we took the subway to this thingy, and then we went out for lunch and saw this busker dude doing this little busking thing. We went to the London Dungeons, but they didn't let me film inside, but I definitely recommend. It was really cool. We went out for dinner, and then my dad and I went to see a Shakespeare play. We went to see Winter's Tale, and then afterwards we Ubered back, and the Uber guy was a little bit wild, but that was fine. It was pretty fun. By the way, this was our last day in London and my favorite one. The next morning we got breakfast, and then we left, went to Calgary, and then back home, and that was the end of our trip. See ya!